General Sejusa speaking while in exile in England. That was early this month. That recording, of course, already available online, posted by his people. But we also know that General Sejusa had requested to respect of his constitutional right to return to the country. He has, of course, through several people, including Ladislas Rakafuzi, been confirmed that he actually arrived in the country. Reports are that he will be heading to his birthplace in Zimbabwe district, if not likely that he's actually already there. He fled the country, as I mentioned, in April on after a controversial letter on allegations to bump off the senior army officers and politicians against what he then described as a Muhoozi project. But somebody who's probably been following this more than most of us, and he's been awake since 3 a.m. when we were trying to confirm this story, is the old man of the clan, Andrew Mwenda, who's also the CEO of the Independent magazine. Andrew, this information, a phone call came in at 3 a.m. We were thinking this should be something around the National Delegates Conference. It didn't happen. The next thing we know, they're saying Sejusa is back. Yes. The least expected information. Yes. Did you have any information? No. We spoke on Friday. You never said a thing.
No. This is the first time I think my fly must have gone to sleep. My fly on the walls of State House, I think, went to sleep. Because right now we know that Sejusa returned under a negotiated settlement,
yes,
where he received a full pardon from President Yoweri Museveni that he will not be charged with anything. He will arrive at the airport and be driven directly to his home in Zimbabwe. You know, imagine.
But how could this have escaped all of us? I mean, there must have been information.
I'll tell you why.
Because all the intelligence people we spoke to, from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. this morning, including those at the airport, stationed at the airport, whose job is to look at the manifests of airlines landing at the airport, meaning they had actually looked at the manifest of BA flight, which delayed, by the way, should have landed at about 1 or midnight.
It was supposed to land at 11 p.m.
Yes,
and it landed at 3:14 a.m.
Yes, even the fact that delay was there, the guys had looked at the manifest, his name never appeared, or if they didn't notice, they went home. One of them actually I spoke to actually went home. His shift ended at 10, went home. We called him just to give him information, that we were receiving. So nobody, very few people actually had this information.
I don't think there is anybody in Uganda who knew, because the negotiations took place between two people, between Yoweri Museveni and Sejusa. If anyone lies to you that there was a third party, tells you there was a third party, you know they're lying.
So how did Barrier get to go to the airport?
The president, reliably informed by my fly on the wall, called him and said, I want to go to the airport and receive Sejusa. That is all the instruction he had. I don't think he knows much more than that.
Let's speak about the fact that his sister and his counsel, Rakafuzi, were at the airport receiving.
Yes, because
what were they told?
Called his family,
yes,
and told them he was coming, they should be there to receive him.
And this,
very few
relatives. So this information was not leaked to the press? Not even a single person?
No. Because
we broke this story on Twitter at about 4 a.m. sharp. But even the time between 3:14 and 4 a.m.
and it
to
was
confirm, because
it was on the independent website
at about the same time. Yes. You actually posted it at about 4 a.m. the same time. Yes. Question is, for us to verify this information, it was very hard.
At what time was it posted on my Facebook?
I just need to find out. I will try and check.
Maybe around about 2. Immediately he landed, and the immigration guys called me. You know, I have a hotline for news information.
Yes.
I immediately went on my Facebook and uploaded information that the Sejusa had returned.
Yes.
So that could have been about 3:40. And on the independent website around 4 a.m.
Let's look at the timing. Nobody would have expected this.
First of all, there was another breaking news which we need to discuss.
Oh yes.
At 1 a.m. Okay, just before 1 a.m.
There's too much news coming around.
Amama Babazi walked out of SEC.
Yes.
He told the SEC meeting that, look, you cannot amend the constitution to make the Secretary General be appointed by the chairman because you have not followed the right procedures. And if you continue with this illegality, I will not be part of this meeting. And the president said, if you don't want to be, you are free to walk out. Mbaba stood up with his wife on the president and other members of SEC and marched out.
I need to mention this. This was in the wee hours of the morning again,
yes,
about between midnight and 1 a.m.
Yes.
When the president was about to ask for a vote,
yes,
from SEC members on the appointment of the Secretary General of the party.
Yes.
And before that, let's backtrack. Mama Mbabazi had actually met the president for about 3 hours. Yes.
Mbabazi went to Salim Saleh yesterday morning and asked Salim Saleh to help him the previous day, to help him schedule an appointment with the president.
Yes.
The president accepted to meet him. Mama Mbabazi met with the president early in the morning. My fly on the wall was there. It will put these details in the Independent, in
Yes.
the other discussions
And
on
Newsnight, yes.
Yes, and then after the meeting, they went into, Mbabazi was very technical and realistic. So they went into this meeting where Mbabazi still made his case that, look, you cannot, the procedures of making this amendment have not been followed and I will not be part of this illegality. And nobody else in the meeting was willing to listen to him. Basaja Balaba, who was known to be his supporter, kept quiet. Dennis Namara, who was known to be his supporter and chairman of the Youth
Kept
League
quiet?
of the NRM, no, supported President Museveni.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that was another change that was surprising in the SEC. And then on that, Mbabazi stood up with his wife and the two of them walked out. And I have always told you that if Mbabazi is to get any vote, it will be Jacqueline's vote.
All right, let's just go back to Sejusa. We'll come back to this
Yes.
because I wanted to timing. I'll just ask our director to try and call Rakafuzi because he's standing by for a phone call. So as they try and get Rakafuzi through, we'll continue discussing this. Let's talk about the timing since we've discussed Mbabazi. Was this planned? Because you normally, I have been thinking that in the next few days we'd get a cabinet reshuffle because you normally want the headline to change around these issues of Mbabazi and the president. So I was expecting a cabinet reshuffle or some semblance of a breaking story. This is exactly breaking story we were looking for, but we didn't expect it.
Unless Tinyafuza comes out to speak, this one I think, because the return of Tinyafuza was negotiated directly between him and the president, you never know the deal they have reached. Because Tinyafuza left claiming that Kale Kaihura, Salim Saleh, and Salim Saleh were planning to kill Amama Mbabazi, Aronda Nyakairima, and him, Sejusa, in order to open way for the Mhozi project. So Amama Mbabazi and Aronda Nyakairima were part of the Tinyafuza plot. It seems to me that if Mbabazi remains intransigent and the government wants to charge with him with the treason, they are likely to use Tinyafuza to say Tinyafuza comes and testifies that we were plotting all this treason together, in which case we may see a treason charge against Mbabazi.
Very interesting. Just looking.
So it may not be a coincidence that Tinyafuza returns on the day SEC was trying to amend the constitution to ensure that the party secretary general is appointed, which would literally sack Amama Mbabazi from an elected position.
Let's
by administrative fiat.
Yes. Before we go into that, I'm told there's been some discussions around Sejusa's return. He's tried in the last few weeks to return home. I'm told a couple of months he's been trying to come home. And this discussion has been going on. And the reason maybe most of us were not kept in the loop. Why do you think Sejusa would want to return home? Let's begin there. Because
perhaps the question should have been, what would Tinyafuza do
yes.
outside of Uganda? It was very clear to me. I do not know. This show had not yet started, but you could read perhaps my comments
yes.
in other media, in the Independent. I kept arguing that, you see, Tinyafuza, his decision to go to exile was the worst decision that he could ever make. Why was it a horrible decision? You go to exile, Morris, and do what? Tell me. So there was nothing for him to do. There was no income for him to earn. There was no glory for him. There was no relevance politically. Tinyafuza could only be politically relevant if he was in Uganda. So his absence from the country was an unmitigated disaster. And I think the loneliness of exile, being away far away from home and friends and family, and also, you know, the cold winter of
yes.
London and
yes.
all this. And there he's a nobody, no one knows him except some low cadre.
He lost his father, didn't manage to come home to bury his father. Yes. That must have been very painful on him and members of his family who would have wished he was around. Yes. I know his father had asked the president to pardon his son in a video we ran here on NTV. I also know that several times Sejusa had actually, again, like I mentioned, requested to come home on different grounds. But let's look at what happens now, because he has several allegations while in exile. I mean, the fact that we also know there were reports he had met some of the people who are anti this government in the north. In Europe, and he had also threatened certain things while he was in Europe. I mean, you say he most likely has a clean slate right now, and they've told him, listen, come home. All your past sins have been forgiven.
First of all, I should tell you that President Yoweri Museveni is a master of political brinkmanship. This is political brinkmanship at its best. One, he has surprised everybody. He has, whoever was colluding and plotting with Tinyafuza, especially Uganda's misguided opposition in exile.
Yes.
now they must be, all their secrets must be good. I don't think that Museveni brought back Tinyafuza for zero price. There must be a price to pay. That price, Tinyafuza has a full immunity, so he's not going to be charged with desertion, he's not going to be charged with terrorism, he's not going to be charged with attempted coup, which was one of the cases against him. He was not going to be charged with anything. So, what does Museveni get from Tinyafuza? Maybe he hands over the names and secrets of all these people plotting against Museveni in exile.
Who he met in exile.
Their plans and strategies.
Yes.
These Vincent Magambos and these misguided. Anyway, I really pity these Ugandans because they don't understand these politics. That is one. Two, he could be used as a witness against Mbabazi if Mbabazi remains recalcitrant here. And Museveni is better having Tinyafuza here under 24-hour surveillance and when he's in London shouting a lot of slogans. And two, I suspect that President Museveni and Mbabazi really agreed that, and Tinyafuza agreed that Tinyafuza will not say anything. He will return and keep quiet.
All right, we will be watching this space. But let's try and get, I'm really asking my director there to try and get Rakafuzi on the line because we wanted to hear the mood, General's mood while when he's arriving.
I can tell you the mood of Tinyafuza when he arrived.
Because you spoke, by the way, let's discuss this.
So,
I know that
so when he arrived, first of all, he was in very good mood.
Yes.
He was very relaxed.
But let's first leave this. How did you actually manage to get to him? Because everyone tried to get to him. After we all got information, he might have come back home.
No, I spoke with the person who was driving.
First, forget the person you came. How you managed to call? Imagine, including your fly on the wall. You had no information. You called everybody.
So
you know, from high and low.
But you know, I can manufacture a third, fourth, fifth flag.
Source.
Being 102 years and having been lived on the Ugandan news scene, I can reach anybody.
So you spoke to General.
I did not speak to Tinyafuza directly. He was with somebody in the car whom I will not name.
Yes.
And then I called.
You're protecting your source, which is fine.
And Tinyafuza was in a jolly mood, relaxed, and with all the confidence that he had received from the president.
I must say I spoke to the sister about the same time, but they were still driving. They were on their way either to Kampala or somewhere else. And she said, I can confirm General is back in Uganda and he's okay.
How did you first of all come to wake up to be on this story? Because I thought I was the only journalist.
No. We had our fly on the wall. The reason we have this. All right. I don't know if our director has Rakafuzi on the line. I wanted to run through a fact file. We have a fact file here of General Sejusa, Andrew. I just want us to run through it. So mentioning who General Sejusa was. He was born November 1954. He holds a Bachelor of Laws and Master of Laws from Makerere University. He joined the Bush War in 1981. 1981 to 1992, served as Minister of State for Defense. And this is stuff you always cram in your head, Andrew. You will help. 1993, served as a presidential advisor on peace and security. 2005 to 2013, when he left, he was coordinator of military intelligence and
of intelligence services.
Intelligence services, which meant he was head of intelligence system here. And on the 29th or 30th of April, he left the country to exile. And
I should tell you, by the way, in 1979, he joined the Uganda Police. Okay. So he ran to exile as a cadet of the Uganda Police. He had graduated and he was working with the Ugandan Police in Mbale.
Let's talk about Sejusa, the man. It's not the first time he's fallen out
and
of favor with the president and he's come back of favor with the government.
So I should tell you the first time is 1984.
Yes.
He fell out with the president when they were still in the bush.
Yes.
He was thrown in jail up to 1985. He was released in around about July 1985 to lead the war from Fort Portal through Masindi. Then he fell out again in 1996 when he made that. First of all, the president removed him from command in 1993.
Yes. Because
they feared that he was planning to organize the army he was commanding. Was brigade commander in northern Uganda. He was accused of planning to march the brigade back into Kampala and to overthrow the government. Then in 1996 he appeared before parliament and gave a testimony where he said the government should resign if they cannot defeat Konyi. And then he was almost tried in the military court, and he went to court to protect himself, tried to resign from the army and failed, and went into oblivion. And then Salim Saleh negotiated for him to return. So when he returned to government, they made him coordinator of intelligence services, a job he held up to the day he escaped.
All right.
I don't think he has even been officially fired, by the way.
No,
so he's still coordinator of intelligence services.
And he's still a member of the UPDF.
Yes, he's still a general in the UPDF.
Let's look at several things.
So you can clearly see that, first of all, Tinyafuza tends to be reckless, tends to be inconsistent. But I should tell you, as a person who has dealt with Tinya before,
I wanted to bring it up.
He's one of the most intelligent, articulate, thoughtful men I have listened to. So I think that sometimes his emotions get in the way of his thoughts, and his exit to exile was because of his emotions.
All right, let's discuss the conversation you had, and I wish we had downloaded this, the conversation you had with him and Dr. Besigye when Besigye was in exile. Let's flip the coin.
You want me to play?
Let's flip the coin.
You know, I normally keep these things.
This was the discussion you had. First of all, you needed someone to take on Dr. Kizza Besigye when on the phone.
Yes.
And so you get to the president and you need somebody, and you totally find that there's no one.
I don't know whether
I will try and pick it for you. I'll try and pick it. This is a recording from
Andrew
Mwenda line on KFM. All right, just a minute. I need to find the speak of this phone.
He should share a word with his best friend, Colonel Kizza Besigye. General Tinyafuza, are you with us online?
Yeah, I'm Andrew.
You have heard what Colonel Besigye was saying. We have Colonel Besigye with us online.
Does he hear me?
Colonel Besigye.
Yes, I can hear you, General.
How
are you? I'm still fine, and you? I'm okay. Now, Dr. You see, Andrew, Dr. Besigye, I think he had better know that the world is not static. He shouldn't behave like a vehicle which is stuck in a ditch and never moves out. Yes, as I had told you, for instance, when he was talking about a peaceful resolution of the conflict in the north, much as many people are talking about that, but he must know the dynamics, you know, the new component which has moved in. While at that time, for instance, Konyi was committing atrocities and so on, and there was a geopolitical element, as I told you when I appeared on your show. Right now, the fellow and his cohorts have run amok. You are not going to this business of saying that we talk to a person who every week is raiding people's displaced camps and targeting them. This is not what other people now normally in war call collateral damage, you know, which is an issue, a representation of people who die in war, you know, civilian casualties. This fellow is targeting his own people in camps, in hundreds and hundreds, as a war policy. Now, for me, I find this, so things have changed. You have already told him. Therefore, for us to think that we must keep on the position which we held in 1996, in 1994, when Honorable Gombe was talking to Coin, is a bit absurd. Things have changed, and we must look at it in the new light of what is happening on the ground. Coin is a beast. Coin is run total amok, and he needs a new type of handling. It can no longer be this appeasement of saying Konyi. Dr. Besigye, I know he himself, down under, he knows, as a former officer who is retired, that with this type of atrocities which Konyi is committing and this type of behavior, it is very difficult to bring that man around the round table and talk sense to him, unless Dr. Besigye is of the view that we should abdicate. We should abdicate, we should throw in the towel and go away.
Can we ask Dr. Besigye to respond to that? Dr. Besigye.
But before that,
I have already asked them to throw in the towel, and they should not have waited even to be asked.
Very good. We would throw in the towel.
Thrown in the towel a long time ago.
Very good. We would throw in the towel.
I listened to you, General Tinyafuza. Let me now respond to what you said.
No, before that, Colonel Besigye, let me finish this. You see, this is a long-standing argument about we throwing in the towel. Let the movement resign and so on. There must be a viable force to replace us. Unless Colonel Besigye is now advocating to surrender Uganda to the Amin days, to Konyi. Konyi is the only organized person now with arms.
We could continue listening to this and on. And we will try and get this recording. That was General David Sejusa speaking on Andrew Mwenda Live, that is on KFM, with then Dr. Kizza Besigye in exile.
Yes, Besigye was in exile saying he cannot return
yes.
to Uganda because he will be killed or whatever it is.
Yes.
His security will be compromised. That's
yes.
what he was using. And Tinyafuza was saying he should return. Then later Besigye returned, Tinyafuza harassed him. And after Tinyafuza harassed him, Tinyafuza who went to exile left Besigye here. Besigye continued to suffer harassment.
An interesting cycle of events. And
yes. This country is a country of a lot of political drama.
Yes, I was about to say drama. Let's look at what happens going forward, because I want to let you go. I know you have a couple of things you you want to go and do.
I have a country to govern and the people to unite.
Yes, we have NEC today. We know activities that happened last night. Of course, Mbabazi and his wife walked out. A vote was, made, and SEC agreed on appointing of a Secretary General.
Yes.
That will be put before NEC today.
Yes.
And then, on a day when we thought that would be the top news, General Sejusa returns. What happens in the next couple of days?
First of all, I should tell you, in NEC, Museveni is going to get, by absolute acclamation, there is not going to be a vote in Nambole. Please, whoever... If my dear friends are expecting a vote in Nambole, go and drink your coffee. There is not going to be a vote. Unanimously, NEC members are going to declare to amend this constitution. Then tomorrow, Monday, they will have a delegates conference by unanimous acclamation. Everybody will say, yes, let it be amended. That is all that President Museveni wanted. You see, if you go to Nambole and see the level of security deployment, one, for you as a delegate of NRM to come to Kampala, you had to be vetted at a police post in your district. You go to police, they vet you. You board a bus. The bus would not take you to Nambole. The bus would take you where? To Kololo Airstrip. At Kololo Airstrip, that's where at the police station in your village, you will be accredited to Kololo Airstrip. When you reach Kololo Airstrip, at Kololo Airstrip, it is where you will be accredited to Nambole. There you will find a long security process. You would go into a queue, and then from there, you'd be taken to Nambole. So the people who are going to Nambole have been received, counter-checked, and all this. Mbabas cannot even get a mosquito through the net that Museveni has laid. So the bottom line is this, that this NRM party have always told people is a Museveni thing. You either live with Museveni, if you don't want to be with him inside the NRM, you go and fight from outside. Bestia tried it, reform within, failed. Bidan, remember, tried reform from within, failed. The Ruzindanas and whatever, they tried reform from within, they failed. Amama Mbabazi needs to go and find a home elsewhere where he can organize outside of NRM, because NRM as a political party is a property of Museveni.
Is that an option Mbabazi has on the table? You just mentioned, and in the last few days we were discussing the whole, the rundown to the delegates conference, and his options are limited. So even if you said he moves out and forms a different family or different party,
or joins the FDC,
and joins the FDC,
that actually the state machinery,
that the state machinery, interesting, the state machinery,
you know that Mbabazi
will be mobilized.
He can go back to his party.
Yes, would be mobilized. And did you say Mbabazi used to be in FDC?
UPC.
Oh, okay.
He has never been in FDC.
So
he can go back to UPC.
Yeah,
even though Tafiri can go back to UPC. Museveni used to be in UPC.
Yes.
All these guys can go back to UPC.
But I just want you to correct us and say, is that an option he has? Because you yourself have said the state machinery will be organized to do anything, numerous things. One,
yes,
take him to court. Of course, take him to court, charge him with all these other issues you've raised in the past.
Fighting for power involves a lot of, is a game of high stakes, so it involves high risks. He must be willing to take the risks as best as done. But let me tell you another thing.
Yes.
If I was Amama Mbabazi,
yes,
I cannot understand. I have served Museveni for 40 years. I cannot, when I'm 65, wake up to now begin disagreeing with the man. Do you get what I'm saying? If I was,
but why not? That would be the best time for you to say, I have worked with him. I think I have mastered the art of running the state. It's time enough for the president to step aside, and I actually
the best strategy for Mbabazi is to wait Museveni out until Museveni decides to retire.
All right.
If Museveni cannot retire,
okay, Councillor
Wakafuzi.
Yes, you're on the line. We tried to call you on another line and I couldn't get you. Just share with us. You were at the airport this morning when General Sejusa returned. First of all, what was the mood of General Sejusa this morning?
Well, he looked happy to be home. He hugged his sister very, very deeply, and she also told me that it is his constitutional right to be home, and he also told me that the state has not done anything. There has been no incident, and that he expects things to be like that.
Council,
at what time did you know that Nyefuza was coming on that delayed British Airways flight?
I knew as early as 9 o'clock yesterday, Saturday.
Oh, Wakafuzi, you're a very bad man. I thought you'd have leaked information to me. You're one of my flies on the wall.
We thought you were a friend, Council, and this information you didn't pass on to your friends.
Especially to the old man of the clan?
I couldn't. I could not.
Or you could not also verify the information?
No, I heard it from the horse's own mouth. I was sure it was correct, but I thought I received that information professionally as his lawyer, and it had to be kept like that. Now, for you, Morris, you want me, when I write your will, you want me to begin telling people that you have five
But
women.
let me ask you, Rakafuzi, do you have elders in your clan? When you have
Yes,
an
I do.
elder of the clan like me, you even when it is very private, even if it is Morris's will, you leak some information to me.
Yeah, you don't leak it to a professional rumor monger.
Let's discuss
The
this.
profession is not above the clan.
By spreading information, no, that would not be professional. Yes.
Yes, Council Rakafuzi, let's
Just
discuss
he's
this because
hired. I've hired him as my
I know
lawyer.
Andrew said this, and there's going to be a lot of speculation beginning this morning that has already come online, that there was a deal, some semblance of a deal between the president and General Tinyefuza. Do you have any information?
I will not comment on that because as counsel, there are certain things I cannot say.
Let's also talk about the fact that when he arrived, there was semblance of no security. There was little information provided to anybody, including intelligence at the airport, that he would arrive. But when you reached the airport, you actually found barrier there. This must have told you a lot. You know, it must have spoke volumes.
Well, I can speculate that Baria seems to have known because I talked to Baria and we talked generally, and because I do not want to say anything that would maybe bring any problem, so I did not ask him whether he knew or not. But he was there. He was in a very jovial mood, and they were talking together and that kind of thing.
So who received him? Who was the official party to receive General Sejusa this morning?
I did receive him.
With members of his family?
Yeah.
So in what capacity do you think Ronnie Baria was at the airport?
He was at the VIP lounge.
Would you say he had come to actually meet General Sejusa?
I cannot speculate.
The other question would be, normally when General Sejusa was leaving, I think he used the normal transit route, the normal lounge, passenger lounge. He arrived in the VIP lounge.
No, he left through the VIP lounge.
He still went through the VIP lounge?
Yeah.
So
He was a member of parliament.
In essence,
a
the
general
state,
Yame.
yes, still in essence, the state still recognizes him as a general, and he was received as that because he used the VIP lounge.
No, but Rakafuzi may not know. You see, the president
Yes.
is the one who sent Ronnie to receive
All right.
Tinyefuza.
Okay, but just to confirm from you, so General again used the VIP lounge on his arrival.
Yes, he did use the VIP lounge on his arrival.
So he's still a very important person.
Yeah, he's still a general in the army, but he told me among his most immediate interest now is for him to get a formal discharge from the army because he wants his freedom to do what he wants.
Okay, that is interesting.
Let me tell you
Council, thank you very much for this information. You've just given us some good information. Thank you very much, Council. We'll keep in touch.
It's a pleasure.
Do you think President
This is
Museveni
interesting.
can allow
This is interesting.
Tinyefuza to be discharged from the army?
That is a good question. I thought I was going to ask you.
I would be surprised. If I was President Museveni, I would not let him leave. Because you see, he stay in the army is the prison around which he can be stopped from saying reckless things and controlled and contained. But Museveni may have grown much more confident now, and he can let him go, perhaps recognizing that there is little that Tinyefuza can do. Because actually, I know why Museveni would release him from the army now. This man.
Now you're flipping.
Yes,
you're
I'm flipping
yourself.
because
Yes.
remember that I'm thinking on the moment.
Yes. This is new
Tinyefuza
information.
has gone to the opposition, come back to NRM, gone back and like that. I don't think that if he ever goes to the opposition, anyone can trust him anymore. So Museveni knows that this return of Tinyefuza has undermined public confidence in Tinyefuza, the politician, leave the general. If he's not in the army, he cannot stage a coup. He cannot mobilize soldiers because he has no command, he has no nothing. And if he goes into he's retired from the army, whatever group he can join, his credibility is so low, people will always suspect him to be a mole. So I think that to that degree, if I was in Yoweri's shoes, Okay, you're worried. I think you win.
But this
you
time,
always win.
Do you think this would be fast-tracked? That it would be fast-tracked before the 2016 election?
And if Museveni releases him, it will be an expression of supreme confidence. Now, I should tell you, one of the problems, of course, is I am speaking as Andrew Mwenda.
Yes.
If I speak as Yoweri Museveni, Museveni is a very, very paranoid person. And I think his paranoia has served him very well. He does not take chances. He does not create even a small little hole where an atom can pass. He just does not take any chances. So for him, he may not even release Tinyafuza in spite of the arguments I have stated, because the arguments I'm stating of a mainstream person like me who is not as sensitive to threats as Museveni is. Museveni has a highly cultivated antenna for danger.
All right, Andrew, I know you have to let you go, but before you go...
You know that I have a country to govern and
yes,
the people to unite.
Before I let you go...
Please, Morris, say, old man, you have a country to govern and the people to unite.
Before I let you go, we have the NRM Delegates Conference on Monday.
Tomorrow.
And I know we'll be discussing tomorrow, and I know we'll be discussing really the inside story even tomorrow. Just help us understand what this does now to the delegates who will be coming to Nambole. Because you have sympathizers over Mama who are probably deleted from the list.
Don't you think
who are deleted from the list?
This Tinyafuza return is a devastating blow to Museveni's opponents. Because if a person of his... You remember when he ran away, the entire army command was fired and changed. The security services were reformed. RDCs were fired. And then finally, the government, the president even...
and he's never replaced him, by the way.
He's never replaced him. So Tinyafuza was big. They closed the Monday newspaper for more than a week. So Tinyafuza was big. He was a big issue. Now, for him to return as quietly as he did, without much fanfare, and the deal negotiated by the president is a devastating... Just imagine if you're opposing Museveni and one of the titans of opposition surrenders to him. It will deal a devastating blow to Mbabazi. In a way, just imagine you're in Mbabazi's shoes and you're hoping that there's some NRM disgruntled people who have taken up war against Museveni.
Yes.
And you're about to walk out and one of them returns. The size of Tinyafuza. It has a big moral destroying impact on the forces of opposition to Museveni.
And the politics around it, the fact that you have the sympathizers I was speaking about, you have delegates who probably have been fortunate enough to remain on the list and are coming among the 10,000 on Monday and will be at Nambole. Doesn't Museveni walk in a champion,
yes.
A conqueror in this delegates conference on Monday with more chance from the delegates than he probably would have? And because the topic also changes in the discussion. The topic around the coffee, the teas, the meetings on the sidelines will be General Sejusa. It will no longer be a Mama Mbabazi.
Yes, and it will also not be just about Tinyafuza. It will also be about how Museveni is very good at political brinkmanship. That if you oppose him, that even Mbabazi whom you want to support may very soon join him and you'll be left alone. So better don't go with Mbabazi.
Stay alone.
No, stay with them.
Well, just before you go, and I know this will give us a cue for you to leave. I'll ask the director to play now the fact file, which I earlier mentioned, who General Sejusa is, and quietly Andrew will walk out to go and do his extra business. So let's look at who exactly General Sejusa is. And if you're just joining us, the breaking news is that General Sejusa is back in the country, arriving at 3:14 a.m. aboard a British Airways flight. There you have it. Born on 13th November 1954. He holds a bachelor's degree of law and also a master's degree of law from Makerere University. In 1981, he joined the Bush War. 1989 to 1992, served as Minister of State for Defense. If we could remove the lower third there, we should have another text at the bottom there that says 2005. If we could run the next slide, 2005 to 2013. He was coordinator of military intelligence services, and in the 30th of April 2013, he went into exile in the UK. That is your fact file on who General Sejusa is. Who he left the country on the 30th of April, expecting to return. His return ticket mentioned the 9th of May. That did not happen. He gives us reasons why. Let's play for you a clip. This was an earlier recording, early this month, when General Sejusa spoke to members of the press.